Welcome to the season of self-love, your daily dose of inspiration and encouragement. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to be here with you today. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery. Are you ready to elevate your mindset and embrace the power of self-love? Or have you come to the right place? Each day we'll dive into topics that will empower and inspire you on your journey towards self-discovery and personal growth. Whether you're looking to cultivate healthy relationships, boost your confidence, or find balance in your life, this podcast is here to support your every step on the way. We believe that self-love is the foundation of living a fulfilled and joyful life. And together we explore practical tips, insightful interviews, and transformative stories that will leave you feeling inspired and motivated. So join me Monday through Friday as we embark on this daily adventure of self-love. Tune into the Season of Self-Love podcast to start your day on a positive note and discover the limitless potential within yourself. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today is Friday, February 2nd, 2024, and I welcome you all back to the Season of Self-Love podcast, and I am your host, Nyomi Banks. Today, we are addressing a very vital aspect of our lives, and it's embracing change. Embracing change, that's the topic. Embracing change and how to adapt and thrive with uncertainty. So while change will often challenge us in a significant part of our personal growth in self-love, but what I want to do is I want to begin it with a 60-second guided breathing exercise to center our thoughts and open our hearts to lessons and opportunities that change brings. All right, so now I want to begin by you finding a comfortable seated position with your feet flat on the floor and your hands resting gently on your thighs. And I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs with air as you count to 4. And I want you to hold your breath for a moment. And then I want you to exhale slowly through your mouth, counting to 6. Now I want you to continue with this pattern of breathing and inhaling deeply through your nose for a count of 4 again. Now hold for a moment and exhaling through your mouth for a count of 6. And I want you to allow each breath to bring a sense of calm and relaxation to your body. Now, as you breathe, I want you to imagine a gentle golden light surrounding your heart. Now, with each inhale, I want you to allow this light to expand, filling your chest with warmth and love. And with each exhale, I want you to imagine any fears or resistance being released, making space for new possibilities. Now, bring your attention to any changes or challenges that you are currently facing right now. And instead of resisting or fearing them, approach them with an open heart and an open mind. I want you to imagine these changes are opportunities for growth and transformation. Now, with each breath, I want you to affirm to yourself and repeat after me: I embrace change and all the lessons it brings. Repeat after me: I am open to new possibilities and experiences. Repeat after me: I trust in the process of life and the path that unfolds before me. Repeat after me: I am grateful for the opportunities that change presence. Now I want you to continue to breathe deeply and repeat the following affirmations, and hopefully that they resonate in your heart and your mind. And I want you to feel your heart opening and expanding you to welcome the lessons and the opportunities that change brings. And as we come to an end of this guided breathing exercise, I want you to take one final deep breath in through your nose and exhale slowly through your mouth, letting go of any tension and resistance. And I want you to carry this sense of openness and acceptance with you as you face the changes in your life, knowing that each one brings valuable lessons and opportunities for your personal growth and fulfillment. Again, I want to thank you for sharing this space with me at this moment and at this time. And that if you're new here, listening to the Season of Self Love podcast, this is something that we do every day, Monday through Friday. This is a part of our self care routine to where we ground ourselves and get ourselves centered and ready for our episode for today, for our topic for today. And our topic again is embracing change and how to adapt and thrive in uncertain times. All right. And so, in the first segment, we're going to talk about understanding the nature of change. Understanding the nature of change. But before we get into the topic, well, guess what we have with us today? Today, he has come back, returned. I don't think we can get rid of him. Dr. Will.
I won't. I I can't leave. Like I just got here. I like it here.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes, it's so good to be here, and thank you so much for the grounding. I needed that for myself, so thank you. I didn't know I needed that for a second. My chest got a little lower. I was, I was sitting up straight. I was like, oh, I am a little tense.
Right. So let me ask you this, and I'm telling you, have it ever been a time when you're sitting there and you're doing a guided meditation? And for me, this happened to me. It's like my ears start to pop, and it just feels like a whole energy surge that comes right here, and it get lightheaded, and I'm like, oh,
Yes, you unlock yourself, right? I call that unlocking because you comes in the daytime, you kind of like you get tense here, you might get tense in your shoulders, and your
yes,
body just locks up in certain ways, and you let go. It's like a blood flow. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh right, I forgot I had to put blood in my body. I forgot. Sometimes we just forget that our blood has to actually flow sometimes. And it's like I might
yeah,
be stopping my own flow. It's like, oh my God. I had to rethink about that. Like I had to change my own flow.
right.
It's too much. It's too much.
Yes. It is funny because when I have my headphones on, it really kind of makes you feel like you like here, like
I was
so
gonna
let
ask
me,
you about that.
yeah.
I was gonna ask you about those headphones. Like, what, like, how does that feel to be completely isolated into that? Like, I only have one piece, so I was curious about that.
Yeah, come next week. I'm going to the one. I'm gonna have to go downstairs to the downstairs studio, and grab that headphone that I have, and put it, put it seriously, because it really does. I
Yeah.
remember the very first time that I had started the breathing exercises, with doing, and I remember it felt like I was getting ready to pass out, and I was like, whoa.
Mm.
I was like, woo. And I came back and I was like, I
Yeah.
needed that. I said, I don't know if y'all needed that, but I
Yeah.
needed that. But also what I was doing too, and I'm going to bring that back, is that I used to do some stretching too. Because sometimes when
Oh.
lift your arms and stuff like that, it helps to, kind
Yes.
of bring in, and helps to stretch
Or
everything out, to open.
reconnect you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it opens,
Yeah.
everything. So especially when we're talking about going through the center of the chakra, like
Mm-hmm.
right here. And you
Yes.
think about that. And so it's a lot of times that, and I'm going to bring that back to where, we lift our arms above our head so we can allow ourselves to open from, the top of our fingers, tips, into our crown, all the way down to
Yes.
our root, all the way down to our feet, like that. And so,
Yes.
yeah, for that one. But
That's
again,
beautiful.
welcome back. Welcome
Yeah.
back.
Thank you so much for bringing me here. This is great. What are we doing today? I'm just so curious. Like, oh my
What
gosh.
today we're talking about embracing change and how to
Oh
adapt
wow.
and thrive in uncertain times.
Well, you did the perfect meditation for this. That
Yeah,
was perfect. That
yeah,
was truly perfect for this moment.
yeah, yeah. For
Mm,
me, I mean, when I say that, I know I am living in my purpose. Like, I know that I am living in my purpose and I enjoy every aspect of it. When I say
mhm,
that, there's moments and times in my life that I can stand and look over and see another version of myself. Does that
mhm.
make sense to you? When you see another version of
Yeah.
yourself and you say, damn, girl, you've grown. You come along. You understand what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And you
Yes.
can see it from there. And it's no better feeling than that. So even when I do my own meditations and I do my own affirmations, I go to where I
Hmm.
call a 5-dimensional, where I take things to a visualization, where I'm smelling, while I'm feeling all of those
Yeah.
things. And that's things that I truly want to get in and show people that
Mm.
we all have that. You understand? They're tapping
Yeah.
into to all
Yeah.
of that, and it does help with, especially now, embracing change and how to adapt with it. All of that helps when we're using
Hmm.
more of our mental, more of our brain waves, more of our brain this. It
Yes.
helps us so much better, and it helps us understand not only ourselves but how to react to other people. There's a book
Mm.
that I love called The Four Agreements.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
one of the books that truly changed my life. I don't know. Have you ever read that book, The Four Agreements?
Yes, I have. Yes, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. I feel like it sounds like a book you have to read like once every other year or so. You like you get like because every time you read it, you get something different.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like you do. Yeah.
Yeah. I read it often and I use it daily for me. And even when I'm speaking to somebody and
Mm.
they, start talking, I say, anything about the four agreements, the fofo? This is me and my sister say the fofo.
The football. The
Yeah,
footballs.
the fall four. And what it did for me is it truly helped me to embrace change and how to adapt to things, to situations, because I had to understand that first of all, I have to use my words, that I have to make sure
Hmm.
that they are, words of good, words of encouragement, words of that I have to be cautious of the words that I use because words are powerful, words are
Truly.
magical,
Yes.
words are magical. And
Words
little
are our
do you,
word. Words are our
yes,
world. Words are
yes,
our world. We create our
yes,
worlds based upon people's words
yes,
or the
yes,
lack of them.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it was just so many things in with reading that book. And when I say I read that book several times, I even gifted to some people.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like literally, I gifted it to some
Any new
people.
transition in life, I give that to them. Truly.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
And it makes you truly understand even with growing up, with your parents
Hmm.
and your family members and even friends or with loved ones, or it makes you better understand them as well as yourself. You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And not to always take everything that it's about you. The thing is that we were
Yeah.
raised to think that everything is about us individually. That
Yes.
is what we were taught. So it's hard for us
Yeah.
to like get that. So even when
But you have to grow
things,
through that though.
yes,
Hmm.
yes,
You have to grow through that.
yes,
You do.
you do,
You do.
you do, yeah, you do.
Mm.
But what I like about this topic today about embracing change and how to adapt, there's a saying that it doesn't happen to you, but it happens for you.
For you. Mm. But it takes a lot of mental aptitude, a
Mhm.
lot of mental courage and faith to truly accept that,
Mhm.
right? We never talk about the acceptance of that because what that takes, the cost of what that takes is
Mhm.
depersonalizing your experience.
Yes.
Yeah. And a lot
Yes.
of people, they love to let other people write the stories in their own book, you know? And it's like, are you willing to take that pen back? Because the weight of your own story is so much more valuable
Yes.
than anybody else's story about you.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So you see, I got my
Yeah.
pen and I'm just writing away. I
A
believe I've
purpose
always
pen.
been, yes, I've always been, I've always had my pen in my hand, and I've always been writing my story. Um,
Mm.
Now I've always written my story. I've always been writing my story. As a and I don't know who I was talking to, but I remember being in a car back in Chicago. And let me tell you what we talked about yesterday about living our life intentionally, every moment of the day intentionally. We got
Mhm.
24 hours in a day, right? And out of those
Yes.
24 hours, we're at least sleep for hopefully 8 hours of that day. So that only give us a remainder of
Right.
16 hours, right?
Right.
So You're working. So you say you got to go to work about a good hour you spend time in
Mhm.
your car. For
Yep.
me, I used to live in Indiana and I used to work all the way in
Mhm.
Bolingbrook, and that's like a 2-hour ride. But
Oh,
in the
wow.
process, right, in the process of that, I had to take at that time, she was my oldest one, my little one, I had to drop her off to a suburbs in Chicago. What took me another 30 minutes out to drop her off to make sure she was at school, then go. So my ride was 2.5 hours one way.
Ooh, that's a whole movie. That's a Titanic right there.
Yes, a whole. So this is before. So this before. So I have to be at work at 8.
Oof. Ooh.
I have to be at work
Oh
at
my
8
god.
in the morning. Yes. So the thing is that I didn't realize then that I realize now is that I used to have conversation with God in there all the time, all the
Mm.
time. And did not realize that the more that I was talking to him, the more I was being intentional in what I did in those moments that I had. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
in those moments that I had.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
so even where I'm at today is I understand it. I understand it and I know exactly how I got here and I love it.
Mm.
I'm where I'm at
Yeah.
when I'm supposed to be here.
Well, but even that sentence, how did I get here? When people say that phrase, they usually mean it as like a, oh my God, how did I get here? I can't believe this. Right. But you're like, how did I get here? You know, what changes your how did I get here from other people's how did I get here? I have to understand because that is an uncertain time for people. How did you manifest that type of positivity?
For me, okay, now we switching
Yeah.
seats, right? Come on, let's switch the seats. All right, no,
Yeah,
but for
I'm
me,
curious because yeah, that's
you know
inspirational.
what? For me, um, honestly, I believe I've always been here, but
Mm,
I was always told that I'm supposed to think a certain way. Does that make sense? So
okay.
by me saying that I'm thinking outside of the box and that's not the way that I'm supposed to be thinking, it made
Mhm.
me shy away and made me kind of regress in some of my
Ah,
mindset
okay.
and my thought that, on who I am or how I think about
Right.
things in life. You understand what I'm saying? So
Okay.
once I was able to remove myself from certain surroundings, and I was really, and I'm gonna be
Mhm.
very honest, when I got into the adult
Mhm.
industry, it kind of allowed me to be a little bit more free. And what I mean
Yeah.
free, I don't mean in the sexual being type of way. I believe it allowed me to be free in a more because I had nothing but my spirituality to
Yeah.
hold on to.
Yes.
Because
You had
religious wise,
mhm.
right, I would not go back into a church because they told me that I was a sinner. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I was not
Yeah.
accepted on that religious side. So all I had was my spirituality to be stay
Uh-huh.
connected with God and my higher being. So I've always knew
Yes.
that God has always been within me. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm.
instead of
Yeah.
me
Mm.
holding on in to that God lives
Yeah.
outside of me. No, God lives within me. And let me tell you, at
Right.
19 years old, I got a tattoo on the
Wow.
lower end of my back. And guess what it
Mhm.
means? God in
Huh.
spirit.
Wow. At 19?
At 19.
You you know, I always say there's 3 ages in people. You have a biological age, you have a mental age, and you have an emotional age, right? And then you have this one thing that we don't talk about, which is the spiritual age.
Spiritual age.
And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
telling you that that's been in you.
It's
That's
been,
amazing.
when I tell you it's been in me and my mom would have these conversations. And it's so funny that we talk about the change and embracing the change.
Mhm,
My family is very religion. Like I have an uncle that's
mhm,
a pastor. I was on the usher
mhm.
board, in choir, all of those things. Like we went to church Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday, Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
You were
that's
full time. You were full time
yeah, that we damn near
and
full time,
overtime.
yes. And overtime, yes, 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 yes. And so I knew at that time, I knew the Bible back and forth. Because remember back in the day when you
Mhm.
when you
You had to
learned
memorize scriptures. You had to
when you
memorize.
remember
You had to
scripture,
memorize.
exactly when you
Ooh, you
remember that
had to
because you
get
get
it.
present. Yes, you get the
Ooh,
presents and stuff like that. I remember, let me
yeah.
tell you, I'm about to tell you this one story. I remember
Yeah.
I was so like, this Bible is so contradictory. And this is me at 11, 12 years old. Like, this don't sound right to me. And my mother just knew. She was like, you need to be a lawyer or something because everything is debatable to you. Like, why is it a why to everything that you say? And I'm like, I don't know, but
Mm.
this do not feel right.
Wow.
This,
Wow. I mean, phew, that is the faith, though.
yeah.
That is the faith,
Mm-hmm.
though. We talk
Mm-hmm.
about, it's not about faith of believing in something. It's a faith of knowing that there is something more that's beyond you, and there's a
Yes.
language for that, and there's a discipline for
Yeah.
that, and there's a discernment for
Yes.
that.
Yes.
We never take into consideration of that.
No. Mm-mm.
Mm.
No.
Wow.
But to answer your question, that would help me along. And I knew what
Mm.
relationship that I had. You know what I'm saying? Regardless to what outside people said, I knew what type of faith and relationship that I had. I knew it always been there. But when I
Mm-hmm.
went into the industry, it allowed it to truly shine around me because I'm not gonna lie, it protected me. Does that
Yes.
make sense?
Yes. Yes.
It
Yes. Yes.
protected me,
You
you
had to
know.
make meaning out of it. Yes.
Yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
And
Wow.
yeah, so that's how. And even through embracing the change for me, embracing the change for me is that even the steps that I made, even going into the industry. I went into the industry because of financial gain for myself to help my dad. My dad was very,
Mm.
very ill, and my mom wanted me to come back to Chicago. Mind you, I've already
Yeah.
been married, going through the divorce. You know, I'm a grown woman when
Yeah.
I left, Chicago. So, but when she asked me to come back, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got some things going on. And this
Mm.
is before I even got into the adult industry. I had some things going on
Yeah.
mainstream, like big things. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, she said, but I need help. And so what I went just to do
Wow.
some nudie magazine things, I was offered some
Yeah.
other stuff, said no, went home, did 6 months of research, seriously, did 6 months of research and
Wow.
found out how much money that they were making. So, maybe I can get in and get out.
Mm. Mm. Maybe can. Maybe. Maybe it's not
Yeah,
the answer. Maybe
yeah,
it's a place. Maybe it's a place, not an answer.
I know that now. I know that now. But for me, when people say, do you regret your choice? And no, I don't regret it because
Mm-hmm.
it was supposed to happen. It was a choice
Mm.
that I made. It was a choice that I made, and I can never regret a choice that I made. There are things in those choices that I've learned. Now I can appreciate those lessons because I
Mm.
applied those lessons to teachable moments now where I can sit on platforms and speak coming from an authentic self, talking from
Yes.
someone that who have came through as other people might see as darkness. I don't see it as darkness,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm still able to relate to you and let you know that my light can continue to shine through it all. So it's giving you a different
Mm.
perspective on what
I
you
love that.
think
Yeah.
what people like me or in that field should be, and it's not
Yes.
that. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And I think that's one of the hardest things is that people have such a limited space of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Not because they want to have that. It's because they never got to choose themselves. So a lot of times people are angry because they never got to choose themselves.
Yeah.
And so they can't adapt. They can't thrive in uncertain times
Yeah.
because their change requires them to actually understand themselves.
Yeah.
And I was just telling my friends, like, people only see you as deep as they know themselves. So
I saw you
we
wrote
can't
that the
go
other
further.
day. Yeah.
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 I had to remind myself that because I was expecting people to be considerate, to be aware, to be accountable, to be emotionally responsible, to be thoughtful, to be open to what I'm actually telling them. And I'm like, so you just completely want to deny the fact that you were wrong. It's not about you being wrong anymore. It's just about you don't even want to understand that I'm trying to have a conversation with you, and that's too much for you. We're not supposed to be talking to each other.
Right.
You're not ready yet. But when you come back, I'll be ready. And guess what? They came back before I got on here and said, yo, I was tripping. I'm like, I know, but it's okay. We can still be okay. But I learned my boundary. I learned my boundary because I realized you can only go so far. So you're not there yet. That's okay.
Yeah. You know,
That's
the one
so
thing
good.
is that, I'm sorry to cut you out. The one thing is when you were speaking, what I thought about is this saying, stop looking for you in other people.
Yeah. They say you're supposed to look at God through other people, not yourself. You know? Or they say, I'm an empath. I feel everything. I'm like, you're not an empath. You're emotionally nosy. Just stop. Just stop. You're not an empath. You're emotionally nosy.
Wait, I'm
Because
not
you
an
want to be caring
empath.
about
I'm
yourself.
emotional nosy, Dr. Will.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear people say, I'm an empath. I feel everybody. It's like, no, you don't want to feel yourself. So you're deflecting by trying to get in part of my life. Just stop that. Like, stop
Okay,
that.
I'm gonna have to call flag on that one. No, seriously, I be over here mad to my own emotional business, and things be happening. I be like, what is that?
Like, what's going on? I be like,
What is
yeah,
that?
like, don't lie to me. I'm an empath. I'm like, that doesn't mean that you just know the truth from a lie. You're just being emotionally nosy because you don't like the way that it feels. That's all. I was like, stop being triggered. You're reacting and not responding. That's what you're doing. You're reacting and not responding. That's a trauma response. That's a trigger. That is not an empath. That's a trigger, ma'am. I'm like, let's switch this up. Let's switch this up immediately. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not doing that. We gotta adapt and thrive in this moment.
Right. So this is a whole nother conversation that we could be having. So you really think that empath, they just be using that as an excuse? Like, I'm an empath, so I feel what you
Everybody's
feel.
calling themselves. Everybody's saying, "Oh, I'm an empath," or "I'm just a giver." I'm like, okay, not everybody. Who has said in public, "Oh, I'm a taker"? No one said that out loud. Everybody always says, "Oh, I'm a giver. I'm not a taker." Everybody seems to be givers. So there's no takers. There has to be a help. There's difference between
You have to
giving and
balance.
enabling. Right. Who are the takers at? Why aren't they saying anything? Where are they at? So it's like we have to start balancing this thing. Like if you want to adapt, you gotta start accepting that you don't have all the qualities that make you the person that people want you to be. Who are you in this moment? Who are you in this moment? It's okay. It's okay. Because someone's gonna love that. Trust me.
Exactly.
Don't make somebody love it. Let them love it for themselves. Like let's make the boundary here. Let's make the boundary. Let's make the boundary.
But Dr. Will, I am an empath, and I do be feeling some shit.
and see, I'm a sympathetic person. I am sympathetic. I can sympathize with you. I can sympathize with you, and I can foreshadow.
Yeah, I'll be like, seriously, I can have a good day, and something come up, I'm like, what the hell is that? Like literally, and just.
I can tell when people are off, and then I can tell when people are off, and then I analyze it because that's just a therapist in me. And I was like, hey, how's it going? And they say their word, and I'm like, let me read these words. I'm like, so when you text me in the morning, he's like, we're talking intentions. We text each other intentions. I'm like reading through it. I'm like, what are they really feeling? What's going on here? Okay, this is good. Okay. All right. That's good. That's why I don't text you after. I was like, all right, just want to make sure.
Look, you gotta stop
about my
analyzing me. We can't work like that. You can't be sitting there trying to analyze me while I'm trying to analyze you. We can't be doing that.
Right. It was with that Spider-Man meme, right? Pointing at each other. Right. Look, that's how I know we care about each other. I love it.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Here we go again. Like, seriously, this is probably going to be for the next few times that we talk. We're going to be going like this, doing this. But we're still talking about the topic at hand. But I'm kind of just going off. I just wrote a whole script here, and it's just going just completely off of it. But it's good. All right. So let's talk about it. We're talking about embracing change and how to adapt and thrive through uncertain times. And change is a constant. Change is constant in life. And as we say, life is life, and yet it often feels daunting. We'll define what change means and explore why it can be challenging for many. So we'll discuss the various types of changes we encounter, from personal to global, and examine how resisting change can impact our well being. So, by embracing change, on
Mm,
the other hand, can be a powerful act of self love. All right, so change can manifest in various forms and impact different
mm,
aspects of our lives. And here are some common types of changes that we encounter. So, one of them is personal changes. All right, and this
mm,
is referred to a shift that occurs within ourselves, such as personal growth, a change in beliefs or values, and a transition in relationship. I think for me, this is probably one of the most
mm,
common things that I personally have throughout my whole 51 years of living has been personal changes. And for me, it's at times like right now, I feel the shifts are raw. Does that make sense?
mm. Yes.
Yeah,
Shifts are yeah, that's very understandable.
yeah.
And I think that we don't acknowledge shifts and transitions enough,
Hmm.
right? A lot of us make adjustments, but we never actually make the change.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah,
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 yeah. That's powerful.
yeah. And so for
Mm,
me, I had this thing, and we talk about values. We talked about values last month, and we talked about values the month before. We're gonna continue to talk about values because, when we're talking about our value cores, we have to understand what that means. And what I tell them out there, the listeners out there, is not your core values or what was taught to you, but who you are as a person. That means to go find, look at all of those core values. I think it's over 300 words, and you find what words that fit with
yeah,
you.
stand out. Yeah.
Yeah, for you. And I had a course back in November, and in that course I had them to where I gave them nine. I said nine because nine is my angel number. And so I said, choose nine
Mm,
words from out of here that describes on who you are spiritually, your soul, your ingredients of who you are. That's what I say, your ingredients of who you are. And within those nine, I want you to create either a letter to yourself or a description of who you are, from those nine.
mm,
And once you do it, print it out and put it on your wall. Because what that is one, that's a part of your story. Two, that's a part of your affirmation. Three, that's a part
mm,
of your compass to understand who you are today. It might change as you grow, but these are your core values of who you are at this moment, at this time, regardless if it's
mm.
a residual from something else. You understand what I'm saying? From something else, but this is who
Right.
you are right now. And let's work on that. Let's work on those core values right now, or who you are right now. And then let's start building from there. Either we
Mm,
adjust and take some out, or we might put some in. You understand?
yeah. I love how you said that, and I don't think people recognize what their cores are anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of lost cores for the convenience rather than the quality of what we actually mean to ourselves.
Yeah,
We make ourselves so meaningful to other people, but when you make yourself meaningful to yourself, that's another type of energy and
yeah,
positivity that allows you to thrive. And when I say thriving, I mean you go over your expectation,
yeah,
you exceed your limits,
yeah,
and you go beyond what you've been taught.
yeah.
So what we've been taught,
Yes.
our core values are actually beyond what we've been taught,
Mm-hmm.
and that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'm it's about having an intimate relationship with yourself. And when
Mm,
I say fall in love with yourself, fall in love with yourself. Because we can love ourselves all day and have this self love. But what does it feel like to be in love? To have that
mm,
intimate relationship, to understand and love you
yeah.
yourself completely, your dirty draws and
Eh,
all of your
all that.
blemishes, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And when
Yes.
you at that point where when you love yourself that much and you have that intimate relationship with yourself, you're going to attract all. That light is going to
Yes.
shine so bright, but it
Yes.
also will give you opportunity to receive so many things that you couldn't receive, didn't you even know that was in your grasp when you
No.
wasn't loving on
Mhm.
yourself, was you wasn't into that intimate relationship with yourself. You understand what I'm saying?
But
That
but but that's
knowing
but
that
that
you're
that's where it
worthy.
came from, though. But that's where we came from though, right? Think
Yeah.
about even me meeting you, like, I've been focusing on this type of work for over 10 years. And,
Mm.
when I said, like, I could have talked to you 10 years ago. I could have hit you 5 years ago or 3 years, but I realized that I need to get through myself and do my work so that I can sit here and be able to talk about self-esteem and self-concept being about self-love. How I
Mhm.
feel about myself and how I know myself based upon how others treat me.
Right.
That's a form of self-love.
Mhm.
I know that my self-love is an identity to me. That's an
Right.
identity that's meaningful, right?
Mhm.
Self-love is, I know, we call it intrapersonal learning. So the
Mhm.
way I think, the way I feel, and the way I know myself is aligned. That's
Mhm.
intrapersonal. That's self-love. I
Mhm.
think, feel, and know what I love. And that is a
Mhm.
beautiful place, a core, like you said,
Yes.
a core awareness. That is a
Yeah.
core awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. But also what I do teach others too is that we don't live in a world of perfect. Perfect, I don't even know where that word came from. I really don't.
Mm,
I really don't know where that word came from. But know that there will be some days that there will be man. Mm,
mm,
that you have, and that's where that intimate relationship with yourself will allow you to have compassion for
yes.
yourself and give yourself grace to understand that I'm still learning. I'm gonna tell you this, there is no
Mm,
right or wrong to living your life, and I'm gonna be very honest, my
yes.
journey is not your journey. It's
Yes.
not. I'm only giving you an example that might be
Yes.
pieces of my journey that you might can see yourself in, but they're not the same. They're
Mhm.
totally different. But at least
Yes.
that you can be able to resonate or relate to somebody and say, oh, I'm not out here by myself. That there's somebody that has some kind of imprintement like me that's out there. You understand?
Yes.
That at least
Yes.
speak a little bit of my language where I can understand and they can understand me. So
Mm,
even with this, we will forever be going through a self-love journey. We will be
yes.
forever healing. And when I
Yes.
say that
I love that.
99.9% that we are in trauma, even as a baby in the womb of a mama's belly,
Mhm.
we feel what is going on with that mom at that moment in that time. So we are
Yes.
already subjected to it
Yeah.
already.
Yes. We help with that's secondary trauma, right? Being able
Yes.
being able being able to watch somebody else go through something is just
Yes.
as traumatic as us going through it ourselves. And
Yes.
so I also believe in secondary healing. If I see you doing your healing, it's gonna let me allow to see my healing. We don't talk
Yes.
about that at all. And I want to write a
Yes.
whole book about that because
Yes.
the truth is that there is so much healing around us at the same time. And we don't recognize it because we're so focused on the problem or the pain and what's happening
Yes.
to us and that's happening for us, like
Before
you
us.
said.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? And so, like,
Mhm.
it's beautiful that you can understand that when you embrace change, there is this space where it's like, I know that I'm more than this. I know
Mhm.
the moment you actually feel disappointed, that's a moment of growth because you
Mhm.
understand where you come from. That's a
Mhm.
moment of growth, but we recognize it because we feel bad about it. We're like, well, this isn't growth because I feel bad. It's like, no, that's growth because you feel bad. It's called growing
Right.
pain. That's
Right.
exactly what it is,
Right.
and we have to open ourselves to that. We have to.
Right. Right. It's so funny. I remember it was a few months ago, and it's still on the topic, y'all. It's about change, about embracing change. So it was the aspect that it was mirror imaging. I have this thing that I
Mm,
do with mirror imaging that I would sit in front of the mirror, I would close my eyes, and I would speak these words of affirmation into myself. And I would see like my whole body would glow. Literally, as my eyes are closed, I can
wow.
see my body glowing.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Amazing.
in this day, I did not see it. And because I had a trigger that allowed something to come up in my mind that was causing me to go back to my old version of me.
Mm,
Now, if I hadn't been going through my self-love journey and my healing journey, I would have probably stayed in that moment for a while. But what I
yes.
did was I closed my eyes and I allowed myself to see not only the old version of me, but also the new version of me. And what I did was I thanked that old version of me. And I said, girl, look at us. Look at us now. Look where we come from.
Mm,
Look at us now.
mm.
So
Wow.
when you able to look at yourself like that, and don't look at that old version of you as being a bad version of you,
Yeah.
because remember, you
All
did not
parts are
know
welcome.
any better.
Yes.
You didn't
All
know
parts are
any
welcome.
better.
Yeah.
Not at all. And we will go back to those old habits, because guess what
Yeah.
is sitting in the back of our mind every day, all day?
Yes.
FEAR,
Watching.
fear,
Mm-hmm.
ready for you to do
Mm-hmm.
something. Let me see. How can I get in there? How can I get in there? And we'll
Mm-hmm.
jump and we'll use the people
Yes.
that's closest to you to trigger that. But
Mm.
that's where you have to embrace your change to understand. I hope y'all follow me when I embrace your change to understand that, okay, that's her. Sit in it for a minute. Sit in it with
Yes.
that
Say
old
what your
person in
part.
there for a minute and
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge it and be like, okay, okay, what
Yes.
this, why did it trigger, such and such. All right. Remember what I talked about before? Write it down. Write it down.
I
Because
love that.
either it's gonna
Yes.
say, okay, this person triggers me. All right, boundary.
Mm-hmm.
This person
Yeah.
might be limited. That person might
Oof.
be cut off
Yeah.
because
See,
they are
and
no longer.
I'm oh. See,
Yeah.
okay.
Am I
I,
preaching
I
to
have
you
I,
right now?
I have to say something. So I'm also an IFS therapist, internal family
Okay.
systems therapist. And what you're talking about is part language. So we
Mm-hmm.
have a self that's confident, compassionate, courageous, all these beautiful things, creative. But then we have these parts that have been created during our past that sometimes blend with us
Mm-hmm.
and they can take over. We can
Mm-hmm.
blend it with a part. And so the movie Inside Out by Pixar is actually a
Oh, I love that
representation of
movie.
that. So that's what IFS therapy is really all about. And so we have
Mm.
parts that you said that come up, and their parts watch you. They see what you're doing. They see how you get activated, and they're like, "Oh wait, this is my turn. I'm jumping in. I'm jumping in." It's like wait. Let me speak for the part, not from the
Yes,
part. Let me speak for the
for
part,
the part.
because
Mm-hmm.
if that part speaks up, we're gonna have problems. And I tell people, healing is a lifestyle. Healing is a lifestyle. Healing is a lifestyle. So if you can't accept that your healing is a lifestyle, that means that you're going to allow your trauma to be your answer.
There you go.
Trauma cannot be your answer when
Yeah,
healing is a lifestyle.
yeah,
You can't do it. You have to embrace the changes, knowing that your healing is a
yes,
lifestyle. So you know what I don't care if it's good, bad, right, or wrong. Is it healthy? I don't care if that person is good, bad, right, or wrong for
yeah.
you. Is it healthy?
Healthy. Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
the truth is that if you have to say no, then that's all you need to know.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
if you try to analyze it too much, paralysis of analysis, you're gonna get stuck. Then you're gonna reason. Then you're gonna rationalize. Then you're gonna have regret. Well, a lot of times we rationalize the wrong people. They're like, I know they're wrong, but they got,
Man.
they did a little thing I like. No, that you're rationalizing. You're rationalizing your healing.
Mm-hmm.
How much is your healing worth?
Mm,
That's the boundary. Do you know how
mm,
much your healing is
wouldn't
worth?
work. Mm, Y'all
That's
hear
where we're
that?
at.
Yeah. Do y'all
We
hear
didn't put a
that?
price on our healing. We didn't put a
Mm.
price on our healing a lot, and that's why the boundaries don't boundary.
We say the boundaries don't be boundary.
The boundaries don't be boundary, and then we got a whole other issue, and it's like, then you really disappointed. Then you could be disappointed. That was a moment of growth, right? That was insanity. Doing it over again. So that's a whole other topic. Because the boundaries, I have to look at boundaries differently than other people. I have to.
Right.
I have
Right.
to. Yeah.
All right. So let's do this. Let's take a quick. There we go again. Let's take a quick break.
Yeah, do this. Oh my God.
Let's take a quick break, and then we got to take a break and come back, and we gonna finish up this conversation. We can talk for hours and hours and hours. What's
Oh
that?
yeah.
Run along song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
running long.
yeah, hours and
Yeah.
hours. All right, it's your girl, you got us now. Everybody, sit on the Season of Self Love podcast. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast with Nyomi Banks, where every day is a chance to embrace self-discovery and personal growth. Join Nyomi on a transformative journey, streaming exclusively on Spotify and Breaker. With daily episodes from Monday through Friday, podcast is your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and self-love. Dive deep into engaging conversations about self-care, mindfulness, and personal development. Nyomi brings you expert insights, practical tips, and uplifting stories from thought leaders in the field. Embark on a journey of self-discovery and unlock the power of self-love. Mark your calendars and tune in to the Season of Self-Love podcast, available every weekday on Spotify and Spreaker. Remember, it's time to prioritize yourself and embrace the beautiful season of self-love. Get inspired and join Nyomi Banks on the Season of Self-Love podcast.
All right, it's your girl, the goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. And today we're talking about embracing change and how to adapt and thrive in uncertain times. All right, so let me say this. First of all, I'm gonna put a little apology out there to you all, because we are enjoying each other company right here and speaking on this, and
it's beautiful.
Yeah, and usually I'm very thorough in what I do, and then I come back and I kind of give my thing, but I want to share this with you all right fast. First of all, that is Dr. Will from Washington Wellness Institute right there. Just say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. It's so good to know that you're present with us. I'm excited, and I do apologize too. I have to hold accountability.
Right, because we can definitely sit here and talk. Well, we were talking about the topic. We were talking about the topic at hand, but I like to kind of break it down, and kind of give reasoning of why things. Reason of why things. So let me say this, because we were talking about understanding the nature of change, and I want to make sure that I say all of these things before we go on to our next topic, and we don't have that long. All right, so I did say personal change, and then I said professional change. So next is environmental changes, what we kind of talked about a little bit with you were talking about where you were going, you were studying, in which you're going through with your family therapy type of thing that you do with your clients. And it's about transformation in our physical surroundings, such as moving to a new home, changing cities or countries, or adapting change in a natural environment, as well as family members around. Another one is technology changes. I'm going through real quickly. I'm sorry, and I apologize. These are advancements in technology in the digital landscape that influence on how we live, work, and interact with the world around us. So resistant change can have a negative impact on our well-being. And here are a few ways that it can affect us. One, increased stress. Resisting change often leads to heightened stress levels as we struggle to maintain control over circumstances that are beyond our control. The chronic stress can have detrimental effects on our mental health and physical health. I just went through this. In real time.
Yeah. Wow.
With my migraines and anxiety, we just talked about it. Was that the last session? Was that the last?
Yes, we did. We had a whole grounding. We grounded each other.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. From there, stagnation. By resisting change, we may find ourselves stuck in old patterns, routines, or ways of thinking. And this could hinder personal growth and development, limiting our potential for self-improvement and new opportunities. Is there anything that you want to add on that one, Dr. Will?
Yes, understanding that all opportunities are because of the power you have within yourself. So you don't have to always spend everything when things are granted to you. So it doesn't have to be this all or nothing mindset. You don't have to be everything. You don't have to worry about being nothing or not having everything. You have to understand that there's a balance, and you have to work within the limitations of your greatness.
Yes. Next is missed opportunities. Change often brings new possibility, experiences, and changes for growth. So by resisting change, we may miss out on these opportunities for learning, adventures, and personal fulfillment. So let me say something with this one. I remember a few years ago, I had some opportunities that came to me, and I'm going to be very honest. I can say this now. I wasn't ready for them then. I wasn't there in the mental capacity to understand what my worth was. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So do I look at that as a missed opportunity? No. What I looked at that for me is that was a learning experience for me, and also an awareness to understand that I still needed to grow to be able to appreciate that, but also to understand what that language was and my responsibility for what it was bringing. Does that make sense?
I love that because I think a lot of times we go into opportunities not knowing what we're bringing, but it's also important to understand that it's sometimes it's more important to know what you're leaving
Yeah.
than what you're walking into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and we're always worried about what we're walking into, how we're going to come in. It's like, no, like, well, what are you leaving to
Yeah.
make sure you can be ready for this moment?
Yeah.
We got to focus on that.
Yeah. And as we speak right now, I had wrote an ebook last year that's called Unlocking the Door to Success. And how I started it off is like it's been plenty of times that I've stood at the door opportunity with the keys in my hand to success. But once I opened that door and walked in, I didn't understand why I was in that room at times because I didn't understand who I was and what responsibility that I not only
Mm,
hold for my but for others. Um,
yeah.
and in that ebook, I kind of shared, some of the opportunity, and I had some great opportunities that I was in those rooms and
Mm,
those spaces with. Do I look at those as failures? Not at all. What I've done is I embrace those changes, and each one of those doors that I walk into, I understand that it prepared me for this moment right now.
mm, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think I really wish I hope that people when they listen to you say that they recognize the opportunities and the keys that they have had,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how not only how ready they were, but how willing were they to be in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Being ready and being willing are two different
To the
things, right?
mm-hmm.
And I think that openness to the opportunity will allow you to adapt and thrive when
Yeah.
you're open and when you're more willing. Being ready, you can be ready for the wrong thing.
Mm.
So it happens. It happens to the best of us, truly.
Mhm. The next one is strange relationship. When we resist change, it can create tension and conflict within our relationships. And others may be more open to change, and our resistance can lead to misunderstanding and strained connection. Yes, yes, yes.
Mm,
This is so true. It's
I
something that
see
I say
one.
sometimes we outlive our seasons with people.
Why'd you have to say that now? We only got 52 minutes. Come on now. Yeah, you can't say that right now. I'm not gonna touch that because that's a serum. That's a oof. Yeah. We don't know when our seasons change sometimes. And that's
No.
discipline. That's
Yeah,
discipline.
yeah,
That's discipline. That's this
yeah,
ugh.
yeah, yeah.
Nope.
We're gonna
Next
come
one.
back around. This we
Yeah,
just say next one.
because that was a deep that one's got weight to it. That one's got weight to it.
A lack of adaptability changes in constant life and can be resistant. We limit our ability to adapt and thrive in every change circumstances, and this can potentially leave us to feeling stuck, overwhelmed, and unable to navigate the unpredictable nature of life.
Mm. That I don't know how much time I have with that one either, but I'm just trying. I'm trying to hold on. Like I'm holding on my chair right now. Like don't say it, because
Say
that
it.
that one we,
Say
we
it.
need to understand that opportunity, and rooting ourselves. Right, you have to root yourself, and sometimes you root yourself in the wrong soil, which is why
Mm.
you're not growing.
Say that
Right.
again. Say that one more time. Say
Sometimes,
it
sometimes
again.
you sometimes you root yourself in the wrong soil, which is why you're not growing. And it goes back to that season. You're not in the right season. You in the wrong soil. You didn't turn your soil over. Before you root yourself, you got to turn your soil over. I mean,
Mm.
there's some people that you got to turn over. That it's done. And so you're a lot of us are rooting ourselves in the wrong soil, and you cannot be seen like that. You just can't. Can't.
You
Yeah, I
go,
have to
boy.
stop there because I'll get going.
You go,
Mm-mm,
boy.
mm-mm.
All right. It is so important to cultivate an open mindset and embrace change as a natural part of life. So, by doing so, we
Mm,
can better navigate the challenges and opportunities that come with change and leading to a healthier and more fulfilling well being.
mm.
Yes. We can talk about building resilience and strategies and embracing change. And I'm going to do it really, really quick because I just don't want to, I don't want to leave you hanging for the weekend, you all right? Resilience is the ability to bounce back from change, and we'll dive into practical strategies for building resilience, such as self-care, maintaining growth mindset, and seeking support. So let's go ahead and do that. Building resilience is indeed crucial in navigating through change, and some practical strategies to help us build one: self-care. Prioritize self-care and maintain your physical and mental well-being. Get enough sleep, eat a balanced diet, exercise regularly, and engage in activities that bring you joy and relaxation. So taking care of yourself physically and emotionally provides a solid foundation of resilience. And I know, Naomi, you say that a lot. Yes, and I'm going to continue to say it. Because one thing that we do, and we are so guilty, we don't take care of ourselves like we're supposed to.
We do not.
And what we don't realize is that even though we have little kids and stuff, we have to take care of ourselves first, because then we can't take care of nobody else. And that is the most true. As RuPaul would say, if you can't love yourself, how you going to love somebody else?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Cultivate.
Oh, you want to say something? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that when it comes to resilience, the three things you got to think of: tolerance, endurance, and patience. Sometimes our tolerance is too high. Sometimes we endure too long. And when we're patient, we don't know why we're being patient. We have to understand that those three things, it's like a mechanism. It's like a car. And if you can have a high tolerance and a low endurance, you can have a high endurance and a low pace. So you have to think about what's your tolerance, what's your patience, and what's your endurance. And when you learn that, your resilience becomes such a strong force when you get to really understand what those three things are to you.
Yes. First of all, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because resilience is something that we talked about in several different aspects. And even you just adding that tidbit right there, I thank you for it, because I see it. And I understand exactly what you're talking about. And I'm glad that there's another voice that the listeners can hear and see, like, oh, and say, okay, I really get it now. You understand? So thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So what we're going to do right now is and I'm about to come ask you this. I'm about to ask you to do me another favor. Every Friday, what we do a guided meditation. And the guided meditation is to send us, we'll just have a great weekend, ground ourselves, enjoy family, whatever it is, to have our time for ourselves or whatever like that, and prepare us for the weekend to get us through, so we'll be back on Monday. So yes, I'm going to ask you, because you are here on my Friday.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, if you can just lead us into a guided meditation before we close out this show.
Yes, of course. So let's get comfy. Make sure our back is straight. Our shoulders are back. In with our nose, out with our mouth. I invite you to relax. Understanding the power of your rest. In with your nose, out with your mouth. In with your nose, out with your mouth. Understanding that the word rest is in your mind. The word rest is in your heart. The word rest is in your spirit. You are aligned. You are patient. You are kind. You are loved. You are seen. You are ready. You are worthy. You are willing. You have option. You have choice. Surround yourself this weekend with people that remind you of who you are, and tell them thank you. Picture them in your mind. Send that energy to those that you love. Know that you are there with them and for them, because they are with you and for you. In with your nose, out with your mouth. As you come back, follow my voice and know that you have heard yourself. With your nose, out with your mouth. Thank you. Go see the right people today. Go see the right people today. He's like, Dr. Will told me I'm supposed to see you. So see who they find.
Right. Well, again, thank you, Dr. Will. It has been great. I can't wait for our conversations next week. And thank you for, oh my God, that felt so good. That really did. That felt really, really good.
Yes.
It really did. And I hope that my beautiful people out there listening here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, that you were able to feel and get it and get you ready and prepared. And all I kept hearing was rest. Yes, rest. So y'all rest. I'm taking heed to that. I'm a rest a little.
Yes.
I'm a rest a little.
Mm-hmm. Do a little more. Rest a little more. Just rest a little more.
All right, my sexy people, my beautiful people, again, thank you for joining me here today and just sharing this space with myself and Dr. Will. First, I want to make sure, do you have any closing words that you want to say before we head on out of here, before I say my words?
Just be kind to yourself and heal always.
Heal always. Be kind to yourself. I like that. All right, my beautiful people, be good to yourself and one another. And always keep it sexy, and see you Monday. Have a good one. Thank you for listening to the Season of Self-Love podcast. If you have any questions or would like to connect with us, you can follow us on social media. Just search for the Season of Self-Love on Instagram. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to email us at elevateme9999@gmail.com. And remember, you are worthy of love, growth, and happiness. So keep shining bright, and I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Season of Self-Love. Be good to one another and yourselves, and always keep it sexy. Send the light, love, and prayers.